How important is sex in a relationship? Sexual compatibility is more important than the act itself. If the pair of you are completely incompatible in terms of your desires/libido/kinks etc., then it's not going to work out. If you're mostly similar, and are willing to communicate openly and properly with each other, then the relationship is far more likely to work. This is very contextual. More important is both partners feel they have a mutual understanding and level of fulfillment from that aspect of the relationship. I think it's important to have that intimate, physical bond with your partner. However, I believe that it also completely depends on who you're with. It's important your sex drives are similar. How do you deal with sex drives that are not similar? Edit, just woke up to a destroyed inbox. Of course, my most popular comment is about my sex life. My wife wants sex about 3 times a month. I want sex about 10 times a month, so we compromise and have sex about 3 times a month. As important as the people in the relationship deem it to be. So that ranges from critically important, and validly so, to completely unimportant, and validly so. What's most important is that you're sexually compatible, like both have high sex drives or lower sex drives. If you're not, it may cause a lot of strain and compromising that will affect the relationship. Every relationship is different as to whether it's important or not. To me personally, it's not important. I would have a relationship even if sex was not involved, but a lot of people consider it a crucial part of the relationship. While the act itself might not be super important, the intimacy that goes along with it is very important. Also, the feeling of being desired is a very important aspect to a healthy relationship, and from things I have read, it's the #1 reason people cheat. If they aren't feeling desired by their partner, they will tend to look for that elsewhere. So the ignored partner might be swayed to cheat if someone else is providing them with that desire they aren't getting from their partner. It's very important to me and my so. We value our time, and the physical being together. I don't want just sex, I want sex with her. Intimacy, it's a physical expression of how we feel about each other. Small for me. Physical attraction is nice. But sometimes you just can't. We haven't shagged in months. Too many issues with her uterus, and OBGYN stuff. She just got her uterus removed 2 weeks ago. We still have a great time, and it hasn't been a bummer, not one bit. It is important to be with someone that enjoys being intimate with you. Someone that is passionate about you in every aspect. Not that everything has to be sexual, but an inviting smile, a hug, or a glance that makes her want to spend time with you. Interesting question. From limited experience, a loving relationship where you're passionate about each other equates to good sex. I'm sure there's instances where couples are sexually incompatible, but personally even sex isn't all about sex. For instance, even if a partner had issues getting hard or say frequently finished quickly, personally it's as much about the foreplay and attentiveness before and cuddling after. That even if things go wrong, I still enjoy the intimacy. Intimacy to me is what just straight up sex can be to others. Sex without intimacy personally would be worse than being intimate /o sex. Discussions should be had before real commitment to lay out expectations from both partners. That way there are less surprises. Another thought. Someone on Reddit once commented something akin to, you wouldn't buy a house just because you like the toilet, but you also certainly wouldn't buy a house without one. I think they nailed it. The drive matters. When a drive dies on one partner but not the other, it can cause a lot of stress. I just got my sex drive back after 10 years on birth control. As the partner who had the lower drive, it was really stressful for me too. I felt inadequate and I knew he was sad about it. Things are so much better now that I'm back to my normal. Someone once said to me, if the sex is good, it's 10% of the relationship. If the sex is bad, it's 90% of the relationship. It's actually, sex is 10% of a good relationship, and 90% of a bad relationship. It definitely is important that my partner's drive is at least close to mine, and in the last year and a half I've been lucky as mine has begun to chill out and become something more in line with my wife's. Sex is also more than just fuckin', so while my wife's drive may still not be the same as mine, she'll still indulge me with my more particular tastes when the urge is there. I guess really, the amount of sex isn't as important as having a relationship where you can openly discuss your wants and needs and mutually hear each other without judgment. I can't imagine trying to maintain a long-term/serious relationship with someone where I didn't feel comfortable at least discussing weird sex stuff. It depends on the person. Having a high sex drive, LDB miserable being paired with someone who found once a month acceptable. For me, it is hugely important. For others, it isn't. I know this is probably a bit more boring an answer that people might look for, but I believe it depends on the relationship. Some people have sex as a high priority, others do not. The key to this, and most other aspects of a relationship, really, is communication. As someone who has never been in a relationship nor had sex, it's interesting reading the vastly different opinions on this. I won't pretend to know how a relationship works, but all do know is it's not sex I want, it's that close intimacy. So to answer the question, for me, not at all. You can jerk off and have that sexual urge be gone, but you can't do something so simple to get over wanting to snuggle up and watch a movie with someone you care about. Then again, I'm just a 31-year-old idiot who has missed out on many things, so take that with a grain of salt. For me, it's very important. For my partner of 20 years, it's an awful imposition, something that she has told me she could do without for the rest of her life, and makes me a sex-obsessed pervert. I think sex can be an important component, however I think it has more to do with the regular physical affection to one another. Think Morticia and Gomez Adams. Loving and physical affection. I think it helps to secure bonds between the partners and gives stress-releasing hormones in the brain to help each other through difficult situations. I have needs. You have needs. If our needs are on the same page, great. If not, hey, good luck to you and good luck to me. Family relationships, not at all. Friendships, generally not. Spouses and significant others. Very much. I've been married 18 years. For the last 4 years my wife has had medical problems with her female bits, so we've not had sex. I still have her to bits, and that will never change just because we can't have sex. With me and my wife, not super important. She has a bladder issue that makes sex hard, so sometimes it's easier for us to just whack off on our respective sides of the bed than cuddle. When we do have sex though, it's really great. Really, sex is just something we enjoy, but we could function without it. My wife was diagnosed with stage 4B cancer soon before our wedding after an extremely rich sex life. Since then, due to the circumstances of the treatment, our sex life has subsequently diminished completely. Maybe these are the circumstances it takes for a couple, a marriage, a partnership to understand the true value of a relationship and overlook such a small bump in the road in our adventure. No one else knows our journey of survival and the struggles we have had. The nights sleeping in the hospital, knowing we can't have children, the pace of the world that is incongruent with our reality, and our adaptations of all of the above. Some things are far better than sex. I would choose this marriage over any other. Gonna buck the trend here and fuck the downvotes, but I can only be honest, for me, personally, not a lot. Maybe it's getting older, maybe it's declining testosterone, but from over a decade ago sex has gradually declined in its importance to me. When you first get together with someone you naturally want to bang them as much as you can, but once the honeymoon period ends, and the infatuation wears off, sex just really doesn't interest me like it used to. I'm fine with once or twice a month, if that, but generally after the first few months of a relationship or so, 99% of the time I'm having sex, it's just to please her, not because I'll especially want it. And yes, this has led to significant problems in my last few relationships. For me personally, not at all. My wife and I are both lesbians who are asexual, partly due to trauma and partly due to meds and partly due to no real interest in sex. They've been missing intimacy, but we recently started giving each other baths, like I'll sit on the side of the tub and wash her with a loofah, exfoliate her legs, wash her hair. It's so soothing for both of us. We'll just talk while we do it, it's so relieving and I feel so close to her. She'll also sit in the bathroom with me while I shower sometimes. Being naked together while not being at all sexual makes me love her more and more. It's nice. She's the best. I was born with lower spinal damage resulting in no sensation specifically in my nether regions. I've had sex, which is partially still a gratifying experience except for the fact that I can't feel it at all, resulting in me only climaxing only once out of 50 or so sexual encounters. Most of the time I simply don't want sex and usually only do it to please my partner, which is okay by me. I like to do my best to keep the person I'm with happy. Booty can't continually have the same sex with the same person often or I get bored and can't perform at all. This eventually developed into anxiety about having sex after bad experiences and confrontational arguments over the years, and now I've basically avoided relationships completely for about 6 years. It's a real bummer because I like being in relationships, but I just can't foresee dating anyone and not being intimate with them. I'm still a horny bastard nearly 24/7, but sex just doesn't do it for me. I wish I were born with working equipment so I could lead a more normal life. It's really frustrating. Honestly, I didn't think it was too important in the past. As I've gotten older and been with my significant other for many years, I've realized it's pretty important. It's one of the ways a couple connects and shows their love for each other. If you enjoy sex and the person you're with makes it a great experience. It depends a lot on whether you meet each other's needs. I think it's also very important to take responsibility for your own sexual health and not burden a partner with expectations to do it all for you. Also, importance doesn't necessarily dictate frequency. It may be important and still not a big priority in daily practice.